is Fox 10 Talks. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ron Hoon. We have a story this morning that really is creating some shockwaves. I mean, it is devastating enough to hear about one hit and run, but to find out that moments later, there was a second car that came through the area and committed another hit and run. Our Irene Snyder has been on this story since it broke early this morning. Irene, thanks for joining us. Can you kind of walk us through what you learned when you were out there?
Yeah, good morning, Ron. When we first got there on scene, there wasn't a lot of information at the time. All we were getting is some reports of a hit and run, but we were able to see it looked like a body of a woman and a dog out there. So that was what we saw as soon as we did get there on scene. But then we got confirmed from a police detective there telling us that it was the dog was hit first.
Yes.
And then the dog was basically in the northbound lanes and then hit into the southbound lanes. The girl who owned that dog ran out after her dog, stood there over the dog. They said it sounded like she was crying over the dog, obviously very upset. And then another car came through and hit her and killed her.
Ugh.
So that's just devastating. You can think of a lot of us are pet lovers. You can think what you would do in that situation. I cannot tell you exactly how big the dog was. It was a distance, but it didn't look like a small dog, so maybe she couldn't move him or her.
Right.
Just thinking what all of us would do in that situation. And then it sounds like it was dark and she got hit.
So give us a little bit more of the facts and figures here. Where exactly did it happen and about what time?
It was right off Lower Buckeye. So they didn't give us an exact time, but we got the call. We went out just around 3:30 in the morning. I think we went out between 3:30 and 4. We got there and they were kind of just combing through the scene there. And we just saw a woman out there, a body laying down there. I won't give you too many details there. And then a dog looked like again, not entirely sure of the sizing there, but looked like a slightly larger dog. And then from what police said, they said that the woman was out there, ran after her dog, and then it was dark and she got hit. So the first driver who hit the dog left. She then went after her dog. Then she got hit, and that driver left too. So we had two drivers who left this morning after hitting a dog and then hitting a woman.
Now, do we know, and I know there's a lot of forensic work, and when there's a fatality involved, there's hours worth of detective work, etc. But was it a situation where the first crash happened or accident, and then the second one, like within a minute or two, or do we even know the time frame
This
yet?
was based on witnesses, because I believe, at least from my understanding, talking to police, they came out after the woman was hit. There were a couple witnesses out there. They had left by the time we were there. But according to the police officer we spoke with, he said they talked to these two witnesses. They saw the woman run after her dog and just standing in the middle of the street. He didn't give an exact time frame as far as how long she was out there. He did acknowledge it was dark, so he said the person driving might not have seen her, but he certainly would have felt the impact and known that he hit someone. He or she, I should say.
Yeah, that's the part that's just incredible. I mean, we have certainly seen these accidents happen, and it's bad enough, when we report that somebody runs over an animal and just keeps going. But then the pet owner, first she's dealing with the shock, and so she runs out into the road to try to save her dog, and then she's hit as well. It's almost unfathomable that two people in a row could do this.
Yes. That's exactly what I was thinking when I was out there, Ron, because like I said, when we got out there, first we heard a woman with a dog, both killed, and it sounded like it was a hit and run. You think they were both hit at the same time while walking. No, that wasn't what happened. It was two separate drivers. And they actually told me that the dad came out there earlier that morning. Again, there was a lot of crime scene tape, not where we were, but he identified her as Brittany Geib, said she was born in 1995, didn't give us her exact birthday, which makes her either 29 or 30 years old.
Right.
So young. Oh. It's so sad.
Oh, now, are we aware of whether or not, does she live right in that area, and that's the dog just kind of got away from her for 1 minute?
That I don't know.
It wasn't that she was driving in traffic.
It didn't
Right?
sound like it. I didn't see any other additional cars there. So I don't want to make assumptions, but if she was walking her dog, I mean, we know it's hot out. A lot of people take their dogs for walks early. I'm not sure if the dog got out from the house.
Right.
But again, all police really were able to tell us is that the dog was there first, was hit. She went after the dog. Not sure what the time frame was like, but witnesses reported just seeing her standing there over her dog before she was hit.
It's just unbelievable.
It's awful.
One last question then.
Yeah.
Do they, did these witnesses, were they able to provide enough description? What information can we put out for viewers who might be able to help?
So the only information police gave us was that it was they believe a Toyota Tacoma. So they said the
First
only
one or second one?
that the second one,
Second one.
the
They hit
the
the
one that
woman.
hit the
Yeah.
woman. Yes,
Yeah.
they said they don't have a color on that car because of the way that she was hit. I think it's the underneath of the car. I believe they said that they got the piece of the car from, but they do believe it's a Toyota Tacoma. They're hoping to give some kind of resolve to the family as much as possible. You can't fully take that pain away, obviously, but some justice for her. They're hoping someone can find who did this. And left
Irene,
her.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just an unbelievable story, and we hope that we can announce some resolution to this. There'll never be resolution for that family. Here's a woman, a pet owner, watches her dog get hit, and
It's heartbreaking.
it is just it is so heartbreaking, Celeste. That's
Yeah, it
exactly
is
right.
absolutely tragic. I mean, when you think about how many times have you seen a car in the middle of the roadway and you think, I'm going to go out and
Sure.
try to help, or, pull over and try to see if you can usher it to the side, and just a
Right.
sad story.
What goes through people's mind? I know it's a shock. All of a sudden you hit something. But particularly when you hit a person, immediately what's happened there. You
absolutely.
have got to stop. And so hit and run's a felony. And when they catch this person, I assume in both cases, we're going to be talking about serious jail time. But still, why would something like that really ever unfold? We have these images today, Celeste. So Crystal and I were in the studio along with Anita. I want to say when did you first pop these pictures up, Crystal, of the kind of almost eerie view of the Grand Canyon?
I think right after 5 a.m. I decided to check the cam because
Yeah.
I knew there'd be some sunlight, and that's when we noticed it was very smoky.
Right. Okay, so then this fire strikes, and, really, truly one of the most beautiful places in our state. I tell people, if you've never been to the North Rim, you won't believe it because it's so alpine-like. You think you're in, somewhere high up in Montana,
Yeah,
or
you
something
do.
along those lines. It's so beautiful up there. But the thing that I think is kind of interesting, Crystal, and we want to bring you on just to talk about the weather and the winds and what we can expect. You can, even on the far rim there, that's the North Rim that you're looking at. This obviously is a beautiful picture from the Grand Canyon Conservancy, from the South Rim right there around sunrise. But you can even see the fire kind of seeping down off the rim. And boy, it gets down. What is the phenomenon that would cause that smoke to just lie down in the bottom of the canyon?
Well, the smoke is more dense than the air around it, so it's sinking down into the canyon. And you're right that if you look, I saw someone shared a picture from this camera overnight, and you could actually see the glow of the fire along that spot that you're talking about, like the kind of center, slightly left of center, that little white, what looks like line is where the fire is burning. But yeah, it's beautiful, but not for the right reasons, right? That
And,
shot.
when you see some of that smoke kind of filter down into the canyon, what is visibility? I mean, there's still folks that are down in the canyon camping and hiking down.
In the canyon, I'm not sure because there's not any gauges down there that say what the visibility is. But I
Yeah.
did just check, and for perspective, from a similar shot that the National Park Services puts out yesterday, they had that the peak visibility was 190 miles out. On like the perfect day, I think the max is like 220 miles that you could see outward. So 190 was the max yesterday. Right now, I think it was at 103. So it has dropped like almost in half because of the smoke and haze in the area.
Do we know what the winds are like up on the North Rim? Because we don't see very many fires up that way.
Yeah.
I feel like, near Fredonia or Jacobs Lake. And this is the only time to really see it is during the spring through the summer and parts of the fall. Because during the winter, they close
Snowy,
that roadway
yeah.
up there.
If we have my graphics, Ron, we can talk about some of the winds.
All right, let me just pull that up.
Sure, and we'll give people that
Okay.
might not be familiar with the area kind of the visual of where it is. So there's the state of Arizona, and then there's where the fire is burning. So it's in between Fredonia and Jacob Lake, and this is the north rim of the Grand Canyon right there where the little flame is. So I just checked before I went on air a couple of things, unless you guys have heard something different. I haven't seen any updates in about 12 hours on the size, so still at 1,000 acres, although I'm curious if that'll be larger with the next update. And then I just checked the closest weather gauge is, if you see on the map where it says 89A, there's a weather gauge that's just barely to the north of that, and winds there were at like 5 to 15 miles per hour coming out of the west-southwest. So if you have a wind coming from the west-southwest, it's going to be pushing things more like eastward.
Chances of any precip today? By the way, that's a question in our chat this morning.
Yeah,
What
that's a
would you
good
say there?
question. Not today. Today looks pretty dry, unfortunately, for the entire state. Tomorrow there's a low chance, although getting all the way up the Kaibab Plateau I think might be a bit of a struggle. So the next few days I don't think rain is going to help out a ton in this area, and the winds are going to be increasing. So this is the next 12 hours in the Jacob Lake area. You can see gusts picking up 20 to 25 miles per hour. I would say up to 30 miles per hour. Shouldn't rule that out. So that probably will impact the efforts of the firefighters to try to get that containment line in place to stop any growth from this fire. And then the next few days, it is going to be hot for any of the crews out there too. Again, in the Jacob Lake area, near 90 degrees today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Winds should weaken some day by day, but still gusting to about 20 miles per hour by Sunday. And each day does have a westerly component to those winds, it's the reason I think they put that big evacuation zone in place around Jacob Lake, is because if the fire is sitting right now to the west of Jacob Lake, but winds are coming from the west, it'd be pushing flames their
Wow.
direction.
That was a question from Charles David, who's one of our regular viewers and commentators. And so, that area, can you cycle back through where you started with that map?
Sure.
Because as we zoom in there, for folks who aren't familiar, I think a lot of people have been to the South Rim. Very few have been to the North Rim. I actually rode my bicycle once from Jacob Lake all the way down that hill to Fredonia. It's got to be the world's longest continuous downhill. I swear it went 15 miles without having to pedal. But it's such beautiful land there, and it's so remote. I think it'll be a tough fight for them.
And I think Veronica Cisneros, she's in the chat this morning. She said that's probably why the skies are pretty hazy up that way. And she said skies are crazy looking this morning. Anytime you see the sun, rising with those
filtered
hazy
sunshine.
skies,
Yeah.
it looks pretty amazing.
The forecast in Jacob Lake from the National Weather Service was actually, it said sun with smoke haze. So the expectation is that in that area that it will be pretty hazy today.
Okay, we wish for the precip, but at least we know they're on it, and they hopefully get it knocked down soon. Crystal, thank you.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you, Crystal.
Here we go. It's a quarter till, or quarter after. Quarter till. What?
Whoa, Ron.
I know. It's moving things
You
along.
really want to go on vacay.
Mystery Cam, here you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mystery Cam guest time. And you probably, the music stopped, but did you notice Celeste was still jamming?
Okay.
You're on camera.
Oh, yeah, I am.
Yeah, correct. See, Brian can bring that music right back up. We're driving. Oh, yeah, we're driving.
Now we need
where?
we need the disco. We need a disco ball that drops down.
Do. Yeah. Hey, we got to look at the budget, Celeste.
Yes.
But we can put that in for next year.
Ron, who wants to talk?
Hold on.
I don't want to talk about budgets.
No, I know, but I just heard a chuckle from Dave on the Dave cam. He's like, "Are you on board if we requested a disco ball?"
Okay. Oh, I got you. Thank you.
Big D.
All right, let's go to it. We're getting lots of guesses. Celeste, what are you seeing?
So we have, and all of you, these are really good guesses considering this looks like it could be a lot of different cities around the country. We've got RLS Vids, who says Mississippi. Paul Humphrey, Virginia. Brandy the Bookworm says Washington State, maybe, ? But we've got Dave Brousseau that says North or South Carolina. New Hampshire from Troy. Lake Havasu, which is a great guess from Eric. And lots of different ones. Charles David says Texas, New Jersey. We've got a lot of people guessing this morning.
Yeah, I feel like we have some new guessers too, which that's awesome. Celeste, what are you going to go with?
You know, with the parking lot there, it's got to be some sort of I don't know. I'm going to go now North Carolina.
I was thinking East Coast too, because at 10 in the morning, if it was West Coast, I don't think you'd see the parking lot full like that. And so I think I'm going to go further north, though, like a Connecticut.
Oh, could be. Look at that boat.
A Rhode Island. Are they having a race? Let's just watch live here on Fox 10 Talks. All right, the tugboat is slowly falling behind, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and look, coming from the other direction. What are those, sea-doos?
Jet skis?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe there are a few jet skis. Isn't that a boat that would fish like a big swordfish or something?
Probably. Here comes a trawler bringing up the rear. Those guys are on jet skis. How fun is that?
Yeah. What does a trawler do exactly?
This guy right there?
Yeah.
Well, I'm no fisherman, Celeste, but I think he tries to catch fish.
What kind of fish? It's like a crab boat, like a crabber type thing?
Sure.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It's the anniversary of Jaws. I don't even think we want to go down that road. What do you got, Celeste? What? Oh, by the way, hold on. I didn't even give a guess. You said North Carolina.
Okay. Well, go back to the picture if you don't mind, because
Okay.
Darren Lloyd said, I'm trying to see the license plate. But I don't think we can.
Okay.
Unless
it's
you
50-50 Connecticut or Rhode. I'm going to go Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's see what you got.
Yeah. Ron Narragansett, Rhode Island?
It is.
Narragansett.
Okay.
Narragansett.
I sort of kind of recognize the view, but I have no idea how to actually pronounce the name of that town. Okay, good. This is my first win in weeks, Celeste.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Narragansett.
Oh,
Thank you so much,
Narragansett,
Brian.
says Brian.
That's
Yeah.
isn't
Let's see if we can get a cameo. Hold on.
Big D.
Big D.
Where did he go?
That's all we ever get from Brian is
Isabella.
There's our Bella Bomb.
I like that Bella Bomb.
Everybody was jumping in yesterday with suggestions. It's the Isabomb or the Bella Bomb.
I like Bella Bomb.
I like Bella Bomb too.
Yeah, I
It's
like
got
Bella
some-
Bomb.
All right. Let's talk about this shocking story coming in from northern Arizona this morning, because I think we're all still reeling from the shock that someone has died from the plague.
It is crazy.
When you hear about the plague, I mean, you think hundreds of years ago and thousands of people dying. Nowadays they have treatment, but boy, you got to hop on it fast. And we just got a new statement in from Coconino County, where they do say their Health and Human Services did receive confirmation from a test. They're now confirming that a Coconino County resident died from the pneumonic plague, which of course is a severe lung infection. It is not related to a recent report of prairie dogs dying off in the Townsend, Winona area, but they do point out it is the first recorded death from the pneumonic plague in Coconino County in almost 20 years, 2007, 18 years ago. And they were able to trace that one, that all those years ago, was an interaction that a person had with a dead animal that was infected with the disease. We'll find out in this case, too, exactly what happened, but
Well,
gosh, it's just heartbreaking.
I think there was some sort of interaction between an animal and a person. Again, apparently, it said, according to the county, Coconino County, the last reported occurrence human to human transmission of the plague was reported in 1924. So it's been many, many years, 100 years since that's occurred. Just to kind of give you all some, maybe a bit of ease here and relief, is that it can be treated with antibiotics.
Yeah.
So,
Good point.
but it has to be caught very early. You have to head into the doctor's office very early, but they do have antibiotics to treat it.
And by the way, I did do some research. They think that the very first, there was a horrible plague in Europe that goes back centuries. But they do believe that the first time we ever saw the plague in the United States goes back to Chinatown in San Francisco in the year 1900. And they think it came from some rats who came off the ship who were infected. And then it spread to some other port cities as well, including New Orleans, Seattle, and L.A. Eventually, those epidemics were controlled. But there's always been concern about the wild rodent population, particularly in our part of the country here in the Southwest.
Yeah, that's crazy. So some of the recommendations that the county says, obviously avoid contact with wild animals, never feed or handle wild rodents, and avoid areas where they are known to live. They also say, Ron, like the DEET, they say 20 to 30% DEET that you can wear on your clothing. That helps. They said,
which is like a mosquito spray.
It is.
But it helps in this case too.
It does. Insect repellent, because if the fleas or the mosquitoes, if they're biting on those animals and then they happen to bite you, unfortunately. But use veterinarian approved flea treatments on pets, keep them on a leash, and keep them out of areas known to be inhabited by wild rodents. Those are some of the tips from the county.
Hey, there's another story we're following this morning. It's actually a follow-up to our big story from yesterday morning. We had heard early on it was quite possible in that shooting case. Let me remind you of the video of where we are talking about. It was our big story with Irene yesterday, as a matter of fact. Well, it turns out that, yes, indeed, investigators have concluded that the father there, a 27-year-old man, left his gun out at the family home, 83rd Avenue and Indian School, and the toddler somehow got a hold of it and accidentally shot himself.
Oh, how sad.
This is why they take it so seriously. You've got to lock up your guns. And so he is going to face one charge of child abuse. The reports had come in yesterday into the newsroom, but we were waiting for confirmation, and now we have it. The only good news to come out of the whole thing is that little 2-year-old is expected to survive. So it had to be more of a kind of a surface wound. But at least we can tell you the follow-up to that story. Now we have another story we're hoping to get good news on a follow-up. And it has to do with this really destructive house fire out in the East Valley. Sky Fox was flying overhead. As you can see, Sky Fox, Celeste,
yes.
You can look at a fire, but unless you can actually get up above and look down, you maybe don't know. From that view right there, you can't tell how bad the fire was.
Wow.
But then look at that view from up above. It's got to be a total loss.
Absolutely. And if it's not a total loss from the fire, this is something we don't talk about very often on the air. We just don't have the time for it. Yeah. But you have obviously, if you see just even a small part of the home that had burned, there's all the water in the foam and the way that they treat these house fires that then you have smoke and water inhalation or smoke and water damage and things like that are going on inside the house.
Right. So now there's the heroic actions of a police officer who must have had a report from someone that there could have been either pets or people inside. And this officer is the one who ends up in the hospital. Going in while the flames are burning and while the smoke is starting to pour, he went in there. By the way, this is in Chandler, just off the 202 and Dobson Road. Not quite sure what neighborhood it is, but you can see the sparkling water just off in the distance there. We are told that the couple, the husband and wife who were living at the home, and their dog all got out safely. Not quite sure where the confusion was, but the officer went in because frequently they can be the first on scene.
Absolutely. He wants
Yeah.
to make sure everybody is out. So thank you to him.
Smoke inhalation there, and hopefully that officer can be released in the next few hours. Once again, heroic actions, and we certainly salute him. But then, speaking of heroic actions, if you haven't seen this video yet, it is amazing. There's a man who is, I don't know if you guys watching at home have a fear of heights, but this guy up on the 6th floor, he's out on the ledge as a building catches fire in Paris.
Wow.
And he knows there are kids trapped inside. I don't know if it's his own children or others, but let me go right to this video so you guys can see exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, my
here.
goodness.
This is video from the other part of the building. See what he's doing right there?
Oh, he's transferring.
It's so smoky. He's picking up, there's a baby, and here's this lady, and she's got another child.
Yeah, more babies.
And so this guy, one by one, here comes another youngster.
Oh.
And so what he ends up doing, it's from Le Parisien, 39-year-old man was out there on this narrow ledge up on the 6th story.
Oh, my gosh, how scary. Look
Yes.
how, oh, wow.
And then the kids get a little bit older, and he's like, I am not leaving.
Without you.
I am going to save these lives. And the story is so, I mean, it just almost gives you goosebumps, Celeste.
Oh, my goodness.
He actually, when the whole thing was over and they realized that he had successfully saved the lives of everybody, there goes that last youngster.
Oh.
And then this is probably mom right here, not leaving until
Look how
all the
scary
kids
that
get
is.
out.
Look at the smoke and everything. Look how close they are probably to where that fire is burning.
Just amazing. And there's one more. It looks
Oh.
like maybe an older lady, grandma or something like that. But he
Oh,
helps get
man.
everybody out. Emmanuel Macron himself, the president of France, called the guy
Wow.
to say, you are a hero of France.
Oh, this woman then is standing outside the window as she's waiting. Is she going
Yeah.
to make her way over? Oh, and then you see down
Oh,
below
gosh.
on like the 4th level.
Oh, okay. Now, we didn't stick with that video long enough before, but now you see exactly what's going on here. Oh, boy.
So he gets a call from Macron.
Yes, and they're going to do a big ceremony for him, I think,
Yeah.
in a few weeks.
Are they going to buy him a new house or a car or
Something.
maybe pay for like college tuition for all the kids? Or
Celeste is an idea person. A lot of them go nowhere, but these should be followed up on. All right, let's take a break, Celeste, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Another break?
This is Fox 10 Talks, and there's a beautiful view in Montana. I'm still flummoxed, Celeste, because we used this picture, it was either yesterday or the day before.
Yes.
And whoever the guy is with the riding lawnmower, he came by once, but then he never really finished the job.
What happened?
I don't know.
Did he get
let's
hungry?
Get moving on
He
it
got
here.
hungry.
Yeah, maybe so.
By the way, flummoxed means bewildered or perplexed.
Yeah. I like to introduce new words and phrases. Celeste, when you were gone last week,
Yes.
I reminded people of a phrase that really isn't used very much anymore, but it's
Okay.
used to indicate that something happens in a very quick manner.
Okay, what is it?
And you can tell me if you've ever heard in the chat, you guys can say if you've ever heard this phrase as well. But it was something Anita and I were talking about, something that was going to happen very quickly.
Okay.
And I said, just about as fast as you can say, Bob's your uncle.
Where is that coming from?
You've never heard Bob's your uncle?
No, I
Okay.
have not.
I have to submit this to the chat. Have any of you guys ever heard that phrase? Boy, just about as fast as you can say Bob's your uncle.
Okay, I'm Googling
the horse
it, by
left
the way,
the
too.
barn, or whatever.
Something as simple, easy, is the phrase, just about as fast as Bob's your uncle, is not a standard idiom.
Oh, no.
The common phrase, Bob's your uncle, means that something is simple, easily accomplished, or
Okay.
that a desired outcome is readily achieved.
Simple.
Simple.
Okay, that's
or
good.
readily achieved.
Because
Bob's
I'm a
Bob's-
simple man.
And Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't have an Uncle Bob, but I did have a beloved Uncle Buck. Remember there was a John
Ooh.
Candy movie like 20 years ago. It was
Yes.
called Uncle Buck.
Yeah, I do. I
And I'm
remember
like,
that.
Yes, I have an Uncle Buck.
That's my Uncle Buck.
Yeah, he was one cool uncle.
It's a
that's for
Is it
sure.
a British phrase?
Bob's your uncle?
Yeah.
I don't think so. It doesn't. Over there, I think you would call yourself Robert as opposed to Bob.
Robert's your uncle?
Right? See, it already loses something. All right, just looking to see. Brandy says, Ron, I've heard that, never used it, but I have heard it.
Nay says, I must be old if I know that.
And Frankie D is saying, you know what? I love that movie, Uncle Buck.
So we want to say hi to Bobby Joe Keefe. He is new to the feed. He said, I'm a huge fan of all the cast. You're all great and wonderful.
Wow.
And I responded to him. I said, are you new to the chat? He said, yes, I'm new here.
Ooh.
And I know all of you don't see this on the chat, but we do here. We can actually see crowns right next to people 1, 2, and 3, which means you're first, second, or third in the chat.
Okay.
And right now, Bobby Joe Keefe is number 1 for the amount of chatting he's doing in the chat box.
Good.
Charles David said, yes, it is a British term.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
Bob's
maybe-
your uncle.
Yeah.
Good.
And Darren.
Charles David is definitely one of our smartest commentators. I mean, the knowledge he must have.
And he makes a great high heel.
Correct.
Have you heard Charles David is a
No.
brand of high heel?
Is it,
Yeah.
Celeste? Okay. I'm sort of glad I didn't know that. All right, let's go to we have a couple other stories we want to get to. Camp Tontozona, the dates have been released.
Yes.
This is a tradition for a lot of folks who are like, I just need a reason to get out of town when it's hot.
And to go to Payson.
And I looked at Payson's temperature about an hour ago, and it
Okay.
was still in the 60s.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Amazing.
And so Camp Tontozona is out there just a little outside of Payson. And the dates this year are August 6, 7, 8, and 9. And Coach Kenny Dillingham, he brought the tradition back. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened, why people weren't doing it, but get up there and have camp in the cool pines.
Well, and I think it's a great opportunity, too, for the team, obviously, like any other team.
Yes.
Pro, college, high school. You go away to camp for a little bit. You reconnect, camaraderie builds. And
Yes.
um,
Next thing you know, you win the Big 12.
yes, thank you.
Let's go to the video. What's happening here, Celeste?
Okay, so this is our son Kai, and he's giving the guys high fives and low tens there at Camp Tontozona.
Oh my gosh. Okay, how old about do you think he was?
So he
in
was
these pictures?
probably
'Cause
maybe
he's 16 now,
he's
right?
15.
15, okay.
He's 15. So
Yeah.
this was video that Gary sent me this morning. We were
it looks like
He was
sorry.
probably like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is when Camp Tontozona obviously still up in Payson, and then for a few years they brought it here to the valley,
Oh,
and then
I
this is a
love
look at
that.
Gary Kai with
Yeah.
there at Camp Tontozona. But
Yeah.
Gary played for ASU, so for him, like he remembers every single year going to Camp Tontozona and how much it meant to them as players on the team, like, building camaraderie and things like that. It's such a great way to build team and the fan base.
Oh, I love it.
It's really cool.
Well, that's great. And how cool to pull up those old pictures from long ago. Again, if you have a day or two and you want to go up there, the weather is nice up in the pines, up in the rim country, and you could start a new tradition with your kids.
That's right.
Even if they're 3 years old, and then 15
matter.
years from now, you'll look back, you'll be so glad you did it.
Yeah, you will be.
Okay, Celeste, have you ridden yet in either a Waymo or any of these driverless cars?
I have.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Let's hear about it.
The Waymo's interesting. Like, everything is operated by the app, obviously.
Right.
You open the door with the app,
Okay.
you have to approach it with the app to tell it that you're there.
Right.
You can choose the music or no music.
Okay. But if you don't want to engage in convo,
then this
like
is
the
the perfect
Uber driver wants to.
Right. And some Uber drivers don't want to talk.
Yeah.
But
Do you have to talk politics with me while I'm sitting in your car and I just want to get from point A to point B? Holy cow.
Oh,
I've had
my
a couple of those combos.
Well, you know how you get over that? You just go, how much time do we have? Because I'm going to need to give you both sides, and this is going to take a long time.
Well, it looks like Waymo, look at that car right there.
Pretty fancy.
It looks like Waymo is going to have some competition. I thought it was kind of interesting that Tesla launched its robo-taxis in Austin, Texas. Look. I know they've got a big gigafactory out there in Austin. And I know Austin's like one of the hot upcoming towns. But we're way bigger. We have 5 million people here. If you want to build your business, come to Phoenix. And yes, Tesla has just apparently applied for an autonomous vehicle testing license in Arizona. And once they're approved, and let's think about it here. From Waymo's standpoint, this goes all the way back to Doug Ducey's days. California was acting kind of hesitant about what?
Yeah.
A car with no driver? He's like, come on over. We'll let the experiments unfold. And it's really proved to be popular.
Well, I think with the city of Austin, I don't know what it is about the city of Austin. We've been there. Have you been there to Austin, Ron?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, cool city,
Yep.
Great food, great vibe, very
Sure.
young and hip. What is the University of Texas at Austin is there?
Yes, my cousin lives in a little town outside of Austin called Bee Cave.
Ooh.
It must be a cave full of bees.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is he a bee?
It's my cousin Laurie.
She's the queen bee.
She is the queen bee. But anyway,
They have
good
a
luck to them.
Well, I think they have the reason why I think maybe Waymo chose them or Tesla is because they're up and coming. They have a lot of Californians that moved to Austin.
Yep.
All the comedians from LA have moved to Austin. Big comedic scene there now.
Yeah.
It's a very hip town.
Yeah.
Well,
if those cars look as cool as they do in this video,
they're they do.
yeah. But I do have one piece of advice.
What's that?
I looked one time at doing a Waymo to get from here to the airport. And our studios are downtown.
Okay.
It was more expensive than an Uber. I'm like, but you're not paying a driver. So here's my advice to Tesla. I'm sure they care. Make it less expensive than the Ubers and the Lyfts because you aren't paying a driver.
Well, it used to be less expensive to use the Waymo.
Right.
And now they've seen the demand rise. And I think I just got an email for Waymo for teens.
Oh, yeah.
Like they had,
That's
did you?
a new thing.
That's
Yes.
a new thing.
Right.
And so, I think the demand has risen. So they're have their prices.
We better move on because, ladies and gentlemen, we're about 90 seconds away from this guy right here. Big D. Big D. On the Dave Cam. He's looking through comments now. We would love to get your input on our poll question today because ICE did some raids in California the last few days, even after the president said farmers are relying on, quote, great non-citizens and that they might have to come up with an order that would help our farmers out. Just talking about what the president had to say. There's your poll question, QR code. If you haven't voted yet, grab that QR code. But here's what was actually being said. So they had a big raid going on yesterday. And one of the congressmen, a Democrat named Salud Carbajal, was blocked by agents as he tried to gain access while the raid was going on. And here is exactly what he had to say. You can hear people in the background.
They want to deport criminals, that's one thing. This is not deporting criminals. This is going after everyday, hard-working immigrants that are here working the fields to provide food on the table of Americans. That's what's happening. And this is just ridiculous. It's tragic.
So here, once again, is the poll question. By the way, we have a YouTube version as well. Right now, only 5% say Trump did say they need a break, back off. 64% say, look, until he signs a new order, farms should be subject to these raids. And then 31%, whatever happened to just going after the worst of the worst criminals. Celeste, what about YouTube?
Let's go ahead and take a look at your YouTube. And what we have right now, 406 votes, actually 411 right now. And ICE is going too far. 11% say that is right now, sits at 11%. Until he signs a new order, even farms should be subject to raids, 31%. And then what happened to going after the worst of the worst criminals? That's at 58% right now.
I just love that we have two options for you because sometimes one poll diverges from the other poll.
It does. Yeah, you're
right. And, I mean, some of these polls get it wrong.
And
now we're showing you there are people feel strongly on both sides.
And now we have 414 votes. So we have people continuing to vote.
All right. Now, Dave's been looking at comments. What are you seeing, buddy?
Yeah, a lot of really good comments. And like you said, on both sides. Barry from Heber says, rules are rules. With that said, I hope more time is spent on the worst. But if in fighting the worst, you come across the not so bad, you can't turn your back on them. Amanda S. in Phoenix says, I think it's disorganized, discriminatory, and unfortunate it has come to this. We need to have a process that is effective without treating people like they're not human beings with families. Big sigh. And then finally, Steve Keller, 7696, says, not only are farm workers not criminals, they are here legally. More often than not, seasonal workers present their passports to be stamped and board an old bus sent by the farm. Nothing sinister about it. People who pass through a border crossing are legally here. So great comments on both sides. Please keep the comments coming. We love hearing from you.
Careful viewers of today's streaming show did see a Bella bomb just now.
Yes, they did.
I don't know if that's happening again or not. There it is.
Frankie D.
We're going to invite Isabella to come and join us here for the next chat right after this break. We have plenty to talk about. It's National French Fry Day.
The best day.
Let's sort through the deals.
Let's do it.
There's some really good ones, too. And welcome back, everybody. All right, we're going to go from that beautiful scene, if I recall, that's somewhere in Pennsylvania, to our friends in Nebraska, because, boy, they are the latest now to get hit with the flooding. It doesn't appear to be anywhere near as bad as what we've seen in New Mexico, and certainly not as bad as what we've seen in Texas. By the way, we had the mayor of Ruidoso on with Ty and Anita yesterday, and that was a really, really great interview. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one thunderstorm after another, and some parts of our country have really been getting hit hard. Okay, so, you guys, I just wanted to announce... Let me just punch up my camera.
Hold on. Isabella,
by.
we have a big announcement coming from Ron Hoon.
Yeah. We set, I don't know if this is like to be, anything to crow about, but it was so hot on Wednesday, we set an all-time power record in the Valley for people using their ACs and everything else. Right?
Crazy.
Okay, so here's what it was. Both APS and SRP reported all-time high peak demand as people were doing what they could. I mean, it was just almost unbearable to be outside. And so Wednesday was the hottest day of the year. We were looking for 117.
We hit 118.
We hit 118. And by the way, yesterday morning when we went on the air, we were 100 degrees at 4:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Very warm.
So today we were like 91. So that shows you it doesn't last for everybody. I always think about first-timers who just moved here. Well, like Isabella, as a matter of fact. Of course, you study weather patterns, so you know we get these peaks every once in a while.
I do.
Have you guys found any good tried or true methods for like cutting back on the power bill? I have a feeling when the next one arrives in the mailbox, it's going to be shocking for a lot of people.
True.
Yeah. Well, for me, because I was in Tucson and, I was figuring out how to handle my AC bill down there. Yeah. And I did an interview actually with TEP, so the Tucson Electric Power.
So that's who you were with, was TEP.
And
okay.
The TEP
was
person.
The interview, was it confrontational? Or was it more informational?
It was more informational because it was, a story like, hey, record heat, how can people keep their ACs down?
Yeah.
It was nothing like, why is my bill $500?
Oh,
but he gave me a very insightful tip, and I didn't know this because,
good.
It's not like we're running through AC as much in Washington. But he had told me that you want to find that set temperature and keep it there as much as you can because it actually uses more power if you're turning your AC on and off, or if you're switching the temperatures all the time.
Sure.
That takes more energy than if you leave it at a set temperature point.
That's a good point.
That is a really good point.
A lot of, I think SRP and APS both have those power programs where
certain times of day.
So we're with APS, so we do the 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. I think is where I think it quadruples or something like that, the use of power. Yeah. So I told the kids, do not run the vacuum, do not wash any clothes, do not run the dishwasher, nothing from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. By the way, in the chat box, I threw this up. I said, what temperature do you usually leave your home at?
Oh, good.
And people really chimed in super fast.
Yeah.
Frankie D said 72 degrees, but people are most floored by Jen's Wall. She said 87.
What?
And then someone said, how do you stay so cool at 87 degrees?
Oh, wow.
How do you get through the day?
Yeah.
She said she's used to it, and it's not a shocker then going outside. So
that's right.
But you have to figure out what works for your own temperament and really like how much does it cost to cool your house when you think about it? Because, some people have single pane windows, some people have double.
Right.
So if it costs more, you have to do what you can to.
I like what Brandy had to say. She's like, ceiling fans and tower fans are a must with the AC in the house for me.
Yes.
You put that ceiling fan on at night, and it blows right over the top of you. I think it really makes a difference.
Yeah, no kidding.
It feels a lot cooler.
I think so too. And the monsoon, we had swamp coolers when I was younger here.
Sure.
And they were fine most of the summer. But then during monsoon season came and it was like, oh brother, not working. Right?
Yeah.
But for some people actually have swamp coolers and that helps them out too.
Well, I think about, Celeste's fifth generation. Her family goes so far back. I think about maybe 3 generations ago when we didn't even have AC here and you had to sleep outside on the porch with like wet cloths.
Yeah, wet sheets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a lot of the
Whiz.
homes that were built back then, like in the
Right.
early 1900s, they all had those sleeping porches.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty cool. But a lot of you are sharing your thoughts on this. Darren Lloyd said he sits at 76 degrees. And a liquid reality, that is, a liquid reality says, my AC won't get the house below 78. So he sits at 78 right now.
By the way, we have Vinton who says hello from St. Catharines, 110. Says hello. All right, you guys. I have thought about this for this whole 50 minutes that we've been on. I can't come up with a smooth transition.
Well, I can see you salivating. Like you should have seen Ron during the break, right, Big D?
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Or I'm either salivating or grossed out, but I'm just going to ask the question.
Oh, I thought we were going to go to French fries.
Me too.
No.
Yeah, can we just skip and go to French fries?
No, and I'm not salivating about this, but the question is, should nude bowling be outlawed?
Oh, yeah, maybe you were salivating.
No, I definitely wasn't, Celeste.
Celeste.
Yeah, I know.
I'm kidding. Should it be? Is that a thing? Is nude
Nude bowling?
Yeah.
I guess it is.
Come on, Celeste, get with the program, man. It's 2025. Of course it's a thing.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so here's
It
the
sounds
story.
painful.
They are rolling out nude bowling. It's a nudist group in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
They've decided they're going to rent out a bowling alley, and you're invited to show up with no clothes on.
So no
Where's the
clothes,
video
but you
here?
have to wear bowling shoes. Apparently, right?
Yeah, there'd be a lot of skidding, a lot of skin burns. If you're by the way, this is what we call file in our business. I just need to point that out.
Yeah.
None of these people took their clothes off.
And they're not going to take their clothes off.
yeah.
But I mean, like
Correct.
that guy right there. Like,
Correct.
think about it. It's like, I don't know. You just got stuff moving around like that normally wouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
flopping around, and it's like, how can you focus?
Well, Annie,
Yeah.
Celeste with the flopping around. Now, come on, Celeste.
You know what
We're
I'm
trying
talking
to run
about.
a professional program. I have no
Are we?
idea what you're talking
When
about.
I signed up for this, no one said anything about being professional.
Ron says, no, I actually do not know what you're talking
All
about.
right, this is the point of the program where I get a little red. In
Yeah.
The face,
Oh
but
my! And you start
anyway, They
sweating.
have a lot of rules. One is no photos, no videos, no sexual activity.
Oh, okay. Well, Lil Philosophy said flopping around. LOL.
I'm with Linda. She says no nude bowling. Ew.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right,
I'm with
well,
you, Linda.
I will say one thing. They are asked to bring a towel because people have to sit down somewhere.
Oh no.
Sorry, but right? Okay.
And
anyway.
I'm probably washing off the ball. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like cleaning the
probably
ball.
so.
And
I'd bring a robe.
There you go.
robe.
Yeah, because then you could decide, right? If you come robed, then you're like, I don't think I want to join this party.
Now, did you get out of the car naked at that point? Like, and now this has got me thinking.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's National French Fry Day. As we move on here. Oh, by the way, Dave, should nude bowling be outlawed? Yes or no?
People should do whatever speaks to their heart.
See, Dave's very libertarian on this show.
He is.
But anyway, let's talk French fries. We got to get to this. We promoted it. McDonald's is offering free medium fries with any app purchase of $1 or more, and pretty much everything's $1 or more at McDonald's.
You could just get it. You could just go through and grab a soda or something. Next
Sure
thing
you
you know.
could, yeah.
A Diet Coke and a
Thank
medium
you.
fry.
All right. Burger King is offering a free order of fries with any purchase. I like that
Wow.
over at BK. I like their fries. And also buy one, get one on medium fries. Have you had Smash Burgers fries?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so Isabella, you definitely want to go experience
Okay.
this. I love the Smash Burger. I actually go for the chicken sandwich more than the burger.
Okay.
But they have these rosemary sprinkled, like crunchy fries
That
that are
sounds
almost
good.
like shoestring potato type fries.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. I think I've gone there a couple of times.
I like
just for the fries.
I like Five Guys too. They put like this. They put like a
Yes, right.
Cajun seasoning.
Ooh, yum.
They ask you regular seasoning or like a Cajun seasoning.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Hey, one last story, and then we're going to jump right over to Ty or Anita. I'm looking around. We don't know quite sure yet who, but they have a great show coming up. But it's 7-Eleven Day. 7-Eleven.
Oh, yes, today.
Slushy.
Yeah, and so it is also Slurpee Day. Now, there have been years in the past, I don't know if they're doing the free Slurpees this year or not, but there have been some. Celeste, you can look.
I'll look it up.
Right. Okay, so the story goes that, hold on, it was created. Do you know how the Slurpee ever got created? I love this story.
I don't.
So there's a guy named Omar who
Love that.
he discovered it by accident. Omar Nedlick. He got the idea because one of his soda fountains broke down, so he put all the sodas in the freezer to keep them cool.
Okay.
Then he pulled them out, and they were all slushy, and people were like, I'll buy that again.
Yes, Ron, today you can get a small Slurpee. One per customer, no purchase necessary while supplies last.
Wow.
Listen to this. The first store opened in Dallas of 1927. Isabella, you're the best. Good to see
Thank
you
you,
today,
Isabella.
sister.
You're the bomb, Bella Bomb.
You're the bomb, Bella Bomb. It is the first store opened in Dallas, 1927.
Okay.
And you
The
can
first 7-Eleven was in the 20s?
Yes.
7-Eleven.
Wow.
In the
it probably
20s.
shocked people back then that a store would actually open as early as 7 in the morning
Yes.
and stay open till 11 at night.
No kidding.
Right?
98th birthday. Isn't that wild?
That is so great.
So, and it's been giving out free Slurpees every year since 2002.
Yeah.
So more than 20 years.
Yes.
So go get yourself a free Slurpee today.
Do you guys remember the first time you ever had a Slurpee?
I don't remember the first time, but I do remember this. I remember that actually the 7-Eleven I used to frequent is not even there anymore.
Oh, no.
It was in South Phoenix at 16th Street and Southern.
Yeah.
And it used to be a 7-Eleven. And my grandparents, on the way to the liquor store, on the way back, they would
Yeah.
either grab me a Kit Kat at the liquor
Okay.
store down the street in South
Right.
Phoenix, or they would take me to 7-Eleven and I'd grab a Slurpee.
Well, everybody ended up happy.
Everybody was happy.
My aunt owned a daycare center in Illinois,
Okay,
in the
Chicagoland,
suburbs,
yeah.
and at the end of the strip mall was a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Oh, you better believe it was a treat to go get the little mini Charleston chews.
Yeah.
That they had
Oh,
for like 5 cents and a Slurpee.
Hey, Anita, what have you guys got coming up at 11?
We're going to talk to DPS about that big crash on the 60, the equipment that was used that actually helped save the workers' lives. We have a fundraiser coming up for firefighters. Boarded Up is trying to raise money for firefighters battling cancer. Couple of other things happening. Crystal's going to come on and talk about that big wildfire and the weather this weekend. And then a surprise guest at the very end.
Oh, we love those.
All right.
Thank you for hanging out with Celeste and me. The show just gets better with Ty and Anita.
Have a great weekend.
Next on YouTube.
Friday. Whew, we made it.
We sure did. We definitely made it to Friday. It is another busy day across the valley. It started off with that horrible crash on the US 60. You had your work cut out for you doing traffic this morning.
Oh, yeah. Westbound lanes, right there around Mill Avenue. This was a multi-vehicle accident, and it involved a couple of people, including some crews who were working. So we had a box truck that was involved, like a semi-truck, basically, a pickup truck, and then we had a work truck, which is an attenuator truck. And I think we have video of that. We're trying to pull that up. We don't have video of that. If you've ever been out there,
the video is wrong.
If you've ever been out there, you've seen those big yellowish looking trucks, sometimes orange. They basically have a big board on the back of them. There we go, you guys. So you see it in that far HOV lane, basically, is what that looks like. You'll see crews riding on the back of that, picking up cones and working on that. So that big black and white board, or black and yellow board, is there for a reason.
So we're going to talk with ADOT here this morning. We've got Doug standing by on Zoom this morning to kind of talk about what those trucks are used for, because you've probably seen them out there and wondered, what the heck is that thing? Doug, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us this morning. Can you give us kind of just a brief rundown, real quick, if you wouldn't mind? It's called an attenuator. Are we saying that correctly? Looks like we're having issues with... Oop, do we have you, Doug?
Hi, Doug. Are you still on?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you loud and clear.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, those are called an attenuator truck.
Attenuator.
Okay.
Yeah. A common name that a lot of people call them is, like, say, a scorpion truck, because when when the yellow part is kind of extended and it's out, it'll look like the stinger of a scorpion. I know stinger is technically the wrong word, but I think we all understand going forward with that. So what those do is... I can't speak to the events of this morning. That's an active investigation, and DPS is doing that, and those details would be theirs to share. But in a general sense, what ADOT does, and in this instance, it was a contractor, but the attenuator trucks, they can follow crews that are out on highways doing, say they're picking up cones or barricades, or they're filling potholes. So they're doing work that's moving along the highway. The truck can follow behind them, and it will provide protection for them. So if the attenuator truck is struck from the behind, it'll absorb the force of that crash and provide protection to the crews that are working in front of them.
Pretty incredible. I know you guys track a lot of what happens within the department. Do we know, because in this case, and I know we're not going to speculate, but it does seem that this equipment worked. It did its job.
I don't have the details on that. I don't know, but the purpose of the attenuator is to provide protection for the folks who are either on the vehicle or working in front ahead of them up on the highway.
And Doug, I guess this probably just brings us to a bigger point of, obviously ADOT, you guys are still doing a lot of road work on all of these roadways out there. We want everybody to be safe. This just kind of I guess, puts an exclamation point on the fact that these road crews are out there.
It is. I mean, the attenuator, it's, Anita mentioned earlier, it's like a big board on the back. It's yellow, it's reflective, they have lights. It's a good reminder to pay attention when we're driving, whether it's at night, during daytime, daylight hours. Keep your eyes on the road ahead. Don't drive impaired, don't drive distracted, don't speed, don't be reckless. Work zones have signage, they have barricades, they have permanent signs, they have temporary signs. We really go to every effort to want to make our crews safe in the work zone, but we want the motoring public to be safe as well.
Yeah, so what can they... Go ahead. No, keep going. I think you're going to probably answer my question before I ask it.
All right. You mentioned we do have a lot of highway improvement projects happening, and there's a lot of work going on, and we want people to be safe. And what drivers may not realize is that 80% of those who are hurt in crashes that occur in work zones are people who are occupants of the vehicle. That could be drivers or passengers. Obviously, the workers in the field, they're most vulnerable because they're not protected by a big metal box or a vehicle. But it's drivers who may drive into equipment, or they may drive into a work zone and they may strike something. It could be a single vehicle crash. But we really need people to pay attention, expect the unexpected, and just follow the signage.
Yeah, great information there.
And anytime there is kind of work crews out there, you guys do a really good job putting it on those signboards,
Yeah.
and there's lots of signage. So I guess this is just kind of a really good reminder on this Friday morning to really pay attention out there on our roadways.
It is. I hope so. I mean, we can all do a better job. I mean, the driving better, safer roads. It really starts with each of us and the decisions we can all make behind the wheel.
Yeah, that's great insight. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Great job.
All right. We've got Crystal here with us on this Friday morning because we're tracking yet another wildfire burning in our state. This is called the White Sage Fire. I'm just going to get the very latest information because it looks like Watch Duty has just kind of updated it. This morning when we were on air, we were talking about just 1,000 acres. Since then, I just checked, now up to 8,700 acres up there kind of in that northern portion of the state, right there on the Utah-Arizona state line.
The evacuation zone has been expanded as well, so that's burning north of the Grand Canyon area. So the updated evacuation zone boundaries, according to Coconino County Sheriff's Office, we have north Arizona-Utah border, east is House Rock Valley Road, Buffalo Ranch Road, west is Kaibab National Forest boundary, and south is the Grand Canyon National Park. We have a lot of people out there, and this is 89A. Crystal, you put that up there for me earlier today. That's closed, and then we were chatting about this because at first we thought, is that fog rolling in? Or smoke.
Yeah, well, I was pretty much certain that it was smoke right off the bat because of the fact that the humidity was too low for it to be fog. So as soon as I saw that, I said, okay, this is looking like smoke, which is why I checked the camera. I thought, let's see if you can see the fire. And it's hard to tell, but if you look like just left of center screen, there looks like almost this white line that kind of drops down the mountain. That actually is, I believe, where the fire is. The reason I say that is because I saw someone share online a picture from overnight, and you could see the glow right over there. So that's kind of showing you where the smoke is filtering down and into the canyon from. In regards to the Watch Duty update, so Watch Duty uses like a lot of different websites to track info. Sometimes there'll be updates on acre perimeter size that hasn't been officially confirmed. So that number might change, the 8,700. I just saw that a moment ago too before I came in here with you. Not officially been put out by Coconino County yet, but one of the sites that we use kind of behind the scenes to track some of the information has updated to 8,700 acres, which you wouldn't be surprised because that 1,000 acres was from more than 12 hours ago. So you would expect that it grew overnight.
Crystal, real quick, this is a view from the south rim. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Looking
from
down?
Kolb Studio, if people are familiar with the Grand Canyon. And yeah, it's looking off to the like west-northwest.
Okay. So this is, if you're going up to the Grand Canyon, you're going to see some smokier conditions no matter where you are.
Yeah, hazy, smoky. I did look at the national parks, and they have like sky conditions, visibility, all that kind of good data. And it was still, air quality was at moderate, which means that at least where that recording station is, there's not like major issues to air quality, which is good, probably because a lot of the smoke is actually sinking into the canyon and there's not a gauge down there, at least that I know of. But something that was interesting is the visibility on a view from the Grand Canyon from the other camera. Max is at 225. Yesterday, it was at 193, I think was peak like visibility, which is pretty clear. And then today I just checked and it was at like 101.
Oh, wow.
So it has dropped a lot since yesterday because of the haze and smoke in the area.
How will the weather, if at all, affect the fight of this?
I think that, do you guys have my graphics? There we go. So we'll dive into the map here so people can get an idea of where this is. This is the north rim of the Grand Canyon where you see that little flame on the map between Fredonia and Jacob Lake. The road closure, I believe, has been extended as well a bit. I think that I just saw that on Watch Duty, and pretty much like everywhere on this map that is to the right side of that little flame towards Jacob Lake is all the way to the state line is now under the evacuation zone. The winds are 5 to 15 miles per hour. They're coming out of the west-southwest at the last check I made. So because there's a westerly component to the wind, that means the winds are coming from the west, so it would push to the east, which is why they've extended that evacuation order. And you can see the go zone is all north and south of Jacob Lake and then north rim of the Grand Canyon for visitors there. When it comes to the wind forecast the rest of the day, unfortunately, they'll probably pick up a little bit more, 20 to 25 mile per hour gusts, although I would say that not even really out up to like 30 mile per hour gusts is certainly possible. This isn't a pattern that provides like super strong winds to develop, but it is just like a generally breezy pattern that we are under. So the next few days that will continue. We're looking at, for firefighters, not great news here, is the high is going to be near 90 degrees each day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday near Jacob Lake. Wind gusts weaken some, but they're still at around 20 through Sunday. And each day those winds do have that westerly component. So hopefully they can get a line around the Jacob Lake area.
When you're talking about wind gusts 20 miles per hour, how quickly can that push the smoke and the flames? I know it's tough to, if you're not there, it's tough to, say exactly what's going to happen, but that's pretty windy.
Yeah, certainly. Anything, I think that they prefer winds that are under 10 miles per hour. So obviously that's not really in the forecast much these next few days.
And the thing we always look at too is, the best way, to fight a fire is, of course, from the air. With the air assets, and when we get these breezy conditions, they oftentimes have to cancel.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the threshold is for flying planes in that area. I don't have that off the top of my head, but 20 to 30, although it certainly is enough to cause issues and push the fire along, it's not, for that area, that's not exceptionally windy. They can get 40, 50, 60 mile per hour.
Wow. It doesn't look like you're talking about any storm chances. This fire started after a thunderstorm Wednesday evening. We don't know the cause. We're not saying that that's the cause, but storm chances could help or hurt if something were to develop.
Yeah, so there's no storm chance today. Tomorrow into Sunday, there are some low chances for the higher elevations, although better is farther east, so up the Kaibab Plateau might be a little bit more sparse coverage. And yeah, unless it's a good washout rain, it almost can be a little more risky in terms of any dry lightning that comes with, if a storm doesn't dump much rain. But the chances are fairly limited for the next at least couple days.
Someone in the chat was asking if there was any containment on the fire. According to Watch Duty, which again, Crystal kind of described, it's kind of they use a different kind of mesh.
Yeah, they're able to.
Hodgepodge of different.
They're just all wildfire specialists, and they use tons of different websites that are out there to get their info. So some of them are like the behind the scenes, like someone operating at a fire might put in info that isn't officially confirmed and ready to put out to the public yet, but like they get all the data. So they're really like one of the best spots to get info from. Yeah,
but they're still saying that there is 0% containment so far on this white sage fire. So this is one of those things we'll probably be watching throughout the weekend as we head into a busy a couple of days here for folks kind of getting out of the heat here in the valley.
Yeah.
Can we talk about our forecast real quick as we head into the weekend? Because we always like to look at the numbers as we head into a weekend.
So
here it comes.
Drum roll, please. It's okay. So it's hot, but it's not as hot.
Not that bad.
You know what's funny is saying that it's not that bad to 108, 109 sounds absolutely wild.
But we had 118.
Yeah.
Yes, and only a couple days ago we were at 118. So it will be a little breezy out there, like 15, 20 mile per hour gusts. Sunny both days, no chance of rain for the valley. We are dry. The one highlight I would say is that overnight lows are going to be better than they have been, because I think yesterday we set a new record for a warm morning low. So 80s, that's not too bad to start out with. Yeah.
Crystal, thanks for coming in. Happy weekend to you. We appreciate it. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes with much more.
too, want to introduce you to Brandon Kowalski. Brandon, we met years and years and years ago covering a fire. You own a business called Boarded Up.
Yeah, yep, Board Up. Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
and you do what?
We go in after homes that have had fires or other vandalism type things, and we secure the property so that people don't have their items stolen. You know, gives them a little bit of a better peace of mind. Unfortunately, you have to think about that, and then after that, we go in and hopefully, if we do a good job doing that, then we get to rebuild their structure. So we're actually a construction / restoration company.
Brandon, I've got a question for you. When something happens like this, now does insurance contact you, or do the homeowners contact you, or how do you get involved?
Yeah.
The fire
in all of
department.
this?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we have multiple different availability. So it could be homeowner, general public. It can be the insurance companies. We work with many of them. And then also, yes, like you said, the fire department or police department, which we've spent a long time trying to, vet ourselves as a good, honest company, and that goes in hand with it. So
So you work with those firefighters out there.
Very much so.
We're all out on scene together sometimes,
That's
right?
right.
And you get to know them. So you're having a fundraiser for them.
We are, yeah. So one of the things what we're trying to do, and early on in our career, I didn't realize the importance of, I know people have cancer and carcinogens are out there, but, working in the business, I learned a lot with what not only our crews have to go through, but really what the firefighters go through. And that's actually why we're here. And we're trying to help those firefighters that have to deal with this on a daily basis. And there's a lot of support out there for them. But I believe that every little bit we can do, a little bit of education, even if it's just one piece, can make it that much better for the people who have to go through it.
That's pretty incredible. So talk to us about what you guys are doing, because I think what this fundraiser that you're doing is pretty incredible.
Yeah, so what we're doing is the local fire departments came to me and they were explaining to me they have this thing called the FU Fire Cancer, which stands for Firefighters Unite Against Cancer.
Look
Yeah.
at that. Okay.
I like the play on words.
Yeah, I had to be very careful there. I
Very
don't want to go and get
nice.
myself in trouble. But through that, I've learned, just in the studies that they showed me that cancer caused 66% of career firefighter line of duty deaths from 2002 to 2019. That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a lot.
so we thought as a company, the firefighters and the public have been very good to our company. They've done a lot for us. They've helped us out a lot. So we said, hey, this year, this is the first time I've ever done any public fundraising like this, but we said, you know what, let's try and give back. So we tried to set a goal to raise $20,000 by July 23rd, which is coming up. And we just kicked this off and we figured we'll give that back to the unions to try and help those people that need, family
Education,
medical,
you name it, name it. So how can people help you raise this money?
So we have a site, and I think you guys probably have it, but it's this right here. This is the direct link of what we have. If you go to this, my website, which is kowalskiconstruction.com, it will have a link, and you can scan it or do the clickable link or whatever, and it will go to that specific thing, which
Hold
will
that up
then
for us
help.
one more time.
Absolutely.
Then if folks are at home, they can
Scan that QR
Scan that
code.
QR code right
Yep.
there on the
Got it?
bottom.
You can scan it, go to the website, my Instagram page, which is Board Up Arizona. Any of that stuff will get you there. And then that will be directed specifically to this cause. So if you go to the Firefighters Unite website, that won't be exactly what I'm running. That will be to support them, but this is specific for these firefighters that are facing the carcinogen issues with cancer. So this is a specific link that goes there. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned it, but this partnership, I mean, you guys really do work hand in hand. So this must be kind of rewarding for you to be able
Very
to kind
much
of
so.
give back to these men and women that you see day in, day out.
Yeah, day in, day out. I mean, that's like Anita said earlier, we met literally on site, you know, at one of these events. And in the early stages, for me, it was business as usual. But really, as you create a life with these people.
I mean, how many times have we seen each other
many times.
out covering a fire?
Yeah.
And sometimes you're seeing the same crews because often the firefighters are working those same shifts.
That's right.
So Tom from Mesa and Paul from Chandler and what have you. And so it's like you want to help your friends all the time.
Yeah, that's right. And they become more than just work colleagues. They literally become, I call them fire fam. You know, they're family.
Nice, yeah.
You know? So
and we've got a couple more weeks, right, till the 23rd.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. And that's my goal. You can always go there if you can't make it. If now's not a good time, we understand. And I tell people, it doesn't have to be large contribution. Every little tiny bit helps. It really does. And so if the time is right and the means are correct, then we ask that you help out. And if not, maybe they can like and share it or something along those line.
thank you.
Just do one little step. You know?
Awesome. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
appreciate
that.
it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
for
You're
coming
going to
in.
talk food next.
We're gonna
We're
talk
talking
food
to special
now.
guest. Special guest
Thank you
coming
for
up.
having me.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for
Good
coming
luck.
in.
Keep us posted.
All right.
All right. Check this out.
I love going on TikTok to find
I'm just learning TikTok.
to find new restaurants,
Uh-huh.
to find new things to do around the valley.
Okay.
That kind of thing. And our next guest does just that. And he is joining us.
Get nice and close to that
Live
mic
here
for us,
this morning.
Shane. Good
Good day.
morning.
Hello, how are you guys?
Okay, TikTok. How'd you get started?
Well, my girlfriend used to watch TikTok videos, and she would give us recommendations based off where they said to go. And then we started going and trying them, and it never turned out to be as good as it sounded.
Yeah. Wait, so you think that the TikTokers were kind of playing it up? They weren't giving you a real legit review?
Well, I mean, I know now, especially after doing it now for like 3 months, what was happening was a lot of these restaurants get the reviewers to come out, give kind of, a positive message, and they showcase, they put their best foot forward, and the best chef that day cooks a nice spread, and it all looks incredible. And then all of a sudden, they pump it out to everybody, and then we get out there, and it's
And you're
just
like,
normal food.
Yeah, you're like, this isn't that great.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's your, I guess, your MO then? Are you surprising the restaurants? Are you just as honest as can be?
Yeah, I mean, we don't give them any heads up. We come in, we just pay for our own food. So, yeah, we get in and try out the restaurant and give a real experience. And it's gotten some backlash from the restaurants because, you don't, if you give them a bad review, then a lot of people get upset. So,
Yeah.
But you want to be honest.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, because you don't want us to waste our money and head over to.
That's the thing. In the restaurant community, it's a very tight-knit community, and they're very much for the restaurant. And then somebody coming in who's from the consumer side of things that just really only cares about the consumer is kind of like a foreign entity to that whole market. So, got a little backlash from the restaurants.
Now, Shane, you mentioned that you've only been doing this for a couple of months, but you have racked up quite a following already.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about how many followers you have on TikTok so far.
We have 63,000 now.
Wow.
And we have almost 3,000 now on Instagram, so things are kind of blossoming nicely. A lot of people are very loyal to the brand as far as they trust what I'm giving them is an honest perspective of I don't have any influence from the restaurants. We actually just got a sponsor today from
Look at you.
Local wall bed store, Wall Beds and More.
Congratulations.
So we don't want to take any money from the restaurants. We don't have any influence from restaurants in any way. We want it to be 100% just our organic experience. We don't even research the restaurant or any of the reviews that the restaurant already has.
How do you pick?
We just go where the people in the comments want us to go. So,
so I might tell you I want you to go check out ABC restaurant and you'll go.
Yeah, and we just show up and check it out for the people.
Do you ever just drive around town and your girlfriend says, "Hey, I'm hungry, I want a hot dog," and so you look for the nearest hot dog joint?
That could definitely happen. There's some times where people are recommending like the same food over and over, and we're like, no, we'd rather try out Mexican today. And then we'll end up going to some spot and just trying out something new. But a lot of the times it is just somebody recommending places, and we just travel around.
Now, do you go valley-wide, or are you kind of
We go
geographic?
statewide.
You go
Statewide. So
Oh,
what's
yeah.
the farthest you've traveled?
We've gone all the way to Wiki Up to try a pie
Wiki
there.
Up.
I did a whole pie tour, and we went to Williams.
Oh.
And we tried out the
speaking my
pie.
language now, a whole pie
Okay, we
tour.
don't want to do negative, but what's your favorite pie in the state of Arizona?
Williams pie is the highest rated pie for me.
Really?
Yep. There's a little restaurant up there. I think it's called Pine Country.
Okay.
And
look at
you
that.
walk in this thing, they have the craziest amount of selection of pies. There had to have been 70 to 100 different pies.
Really?
Oh, and the pies, you can see the crust is incredibly homemade. The filling, and the pies are about this high. I mean, they're crazy big, and they're delicious. Everything about that place is just.
So do you
phenomenal.
like pie and that's why you went on a pie
I like
endeavor? Okay, so you've been doing this for 3 months.
Yeah.
Dare I ask, have you gained any weight?
Oh yes, I have. Yeah, and then
Part
I
of
did
the job, right?
Yeah, then I had to do a healthy, like I did the last 3 weeks were healthy. I got
Like
no views.
detoxing?
Yeah, nobody wanted to watch.
Oh,
that.
no, really?
Yeah, so I did. I started going. I'm like, I'm gonna go to organic restaurants. I lost 18 pounds, and they got all pissed.
In
Everybody
3 weeks?
was. Yeah.
I need that secret.
Everybody was all mad at me. Although I found the best healthy restaurant, in my opinion, is Clean Eats. Clean Eats. They have Valley locations. They do meal prep, and they also sell in there live, delicious food. Incredible place. And that actually did well because people were really interested in that, and I would recommend it to everybody.
Okay, so there used to be a show back in the day. I can't even remember what network. It was like Man versus Food.
Yep.
Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I do remember that.
The host, the original host, actually had to stop.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a competitive, like he'd go around and try the food, but each of them had like a challenge. He had to stop because he was unhealthy. Like he had to take a break.
I can imagine.
He had to take a break.
When you do Pie Wars and then you literally try every pie in the whole damn state, it adds up. You know, once you taste one and it's so bomb too, you
got to go.
I got to finish this pie slice, right? And then next thing you know, you got 7 of them lined up that you want to try. And at a place like that, one in Williams, oh my Lord.
But this must be pretty fun for you though, because you get to kind of explore the entire state and then kind of, I guess, show off our beautiful state as well through the culinary journey that you're on.
That is really cool. Being able to go to spots that we've never even thought of going and going to try restaurants we never even heard of.
Yeah.
And then we get to try out whatever they recommend. And it's, a lot of the times it's something that's a complete unique experience that we've never even thought of trying.
I bet those little like dive bar type of places that you would never think has really great food are some of the best.
I always say with certain restaurants, especially Chinese, they better look like there's a health code violation.
And then you know it's good.
If you want good.
What are you ordering at a Chinese restaurant?
Everything. I try it all. When we go to a lot of these places, I will order unnecessary amounts of food just to try different types of dishes.
Really?
Because I want to be able to experience whatever they say. So we don't ever usually tell them what I want because I don't want to give any favoritism.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like, well, I know I like orange chicken, so I'm going to order it at every place.
Yeah. Okay.
I go, what showcases your restaurant? What would be the best thing that we should order? And they'll bring out different variations of all sorts of different stuff. So I've tried a lot of food that I never even knew I liked.
Until you tried them.
Yeah, all of a sudden I'm like, wow, that is incredible.
Is this a part-time gig, a full-time gig? Do you do anything else where you have to try to sneak this in a time, and then obviously it's going to grow?
Yeah, well, I own an advertising agency.
Okay.
So I'm fortunate to have a staff that does that for me. And I just try to fit this in where I can fit it in. Like on the weekends, we'll travel to other places. During the week, I'll just make it out for breakfast, and then I'll go back to work, and then lunch.
Yeah.
And then we'll have dinner after hours. So it fits nicely.
Yeah.
You got to eat anyways.
You do.
Absolutely.
So,
might as well film it and get some
30
good
seconds.
content.
How do people follow you?
Instagram or on TikTok, No Paid Food Reviews.
No Paid Food Reviews.
Look at you.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Will you come back?
Yeah, please, in like 6 months.
Maybe, bring us some of your maybe top
bring us
3
some good
favorites.
eats.
And bring us some pie.
I'll be back.
Ty likes pie.
You invite me, I'll go to Williams and bring us pie. We'll
Look
have
at
a whole
you.
setup
I love
in here.
it.
We're putting you on the calendar.
I love a good berry pie. I'm just putting that out there for you. All right.
Me too.
Where are you going this
The
weekend?
triple berry.
We got 10 seconds. Do you know where you're going this weekend?
I'm going to Ireland next week.
Oh, we're taking it international.
We need food reviews from Ireland.
We are. I'm doing
All right.
16 days in Ireland.
Have a good weekend.